Hey guys, my name is Rajan and you're watching Lens War. So today I have got the cinema camera Sony FX3 and I'm gonna do a comparison with the smartphone X300 Ultra. So let's see, we need a cinema camera to shoot pro videos or take pro portraits in this time. So because X300 Ultra is already very good, so let's see if it can beat the cinema camera this time. So let's do a detailed camera comparison. We'll be doing videos, portraits and photos. So let's see which camera is better. So let's start this interesting shoot now.
Alright, so today we are comparing a professional full-frame cinema camera used for movies, commercial and even Netflix production. The camera body alone costs 3.5 lakhs and I've also listed all the lenses we'll be using along with their prices. Altogether, this setup costs nearly 8 to 9 lakhs. Alright, let's start with the video first. The Vivo looks sharper and more stable because it's using computational photography, AI sharpening and noise reduction and electronic stabilization in real time. The FX3 takes a different approach. Its full frame camera is nearly 7 times larger, so it's captured more natural depth, smoother bokeh and preserves image data instead of heavily processing it. That's why FX3 may look softer straight out of camera, but it gives creator far more flexibility for professional color grading and post-production.
So today I'm recording this video on the full frame camera FX3 versus the X300 Ultra. So let me know which camera you prefer. So usually we do vlogging and stuff. So I'm recording this on the ultrawide camera of the Vivo X300 Ultra. I'm comparing this with the FX3 14mm camera lens. So let's see which camera is better and which audio quality is better as I move. So let's see which camera is better here. And you can see the colors and everything. So let me know which camera is better and which video quality is better as well.
Now we are looking at the 35mm main camera comparison and both shots were taken at roughly f1.8 straight off the camera. The X300 Ultra looks absolutely stunning. The refined mode is doing a fantastic job here, delivering vibrant and yet balanced colors, excellent contrast and a very polished image in my opinion. For those who think the Vivo always produces overprocessed photos, this is a great example of how natural it can look when using refined mode. The colors are well controlled, skin tones look accurate, and even if you zoom in, the level of detail is genuinely impressive. Comparing it to the FX3, you can notice a bit more grain and softer overall rendering. That's because the FX3 is preserving a more natural image with less in camera processing. The Vivo, meanwhile, it's taking advantage of its computational photography, HDR, image stacking and advanced sharpening to maximize detail and dynamic range. What's impressive is that the Vivo achieves that while maintaining a fairly natural look. In fact, with a slight reduction in saturation during editing, you could get surprisingly close to the FX3 color profile. The main sensor, it's clearly doing its magic here. The LYT-901, it's doing a fantastic job, and this is one of the strongest performance I've seen from a smartphone camera. So let's check out next shot. Alright, so now looking at the 14mm comparison, both shots were taken at f2.8 and interestingly the amount of background blur is quite similar. One thing I noticed immediately is the Sony FX3 14mm looks noticeably wider and more immersive even though both are technically 14mm. The Vivo X300 Ultra shot feels a bit tighter and almost closer to a 20 to 24mm perspective. The other major difference is the image rendering. The FX3 delivers a much more natural look with softer transition, no aggressive sharpening when I zoom in. The image feels smoother and more organic. On the other hand, the Vivo looks a little sharper, more vibrant and more processed straight off the camera. Even with, I have turned on refined mode. You can clearly see the computational photography at work, and in my opinion, neither approach is necessarily, right or wrong. It just depends on whether you prefer a natural cinematic look or a punchier social media ready image. So yeah, let's move on to the next shot. Alright, so looking at another 14mm comparison, both shots are actually quite close this time. However, the FX3 still appears a little wider, especially when you look at the foreground and the amount of ground visible in the frame. It's a subtle difference, but the Sony's 14mm feels much more like a true ultra wide perspective. When we zoom in though, the differences become more obvious. The X300 Ultra looks noticeably sharper, particularly around the edges. You can look at the ground here, it looks noticeably sharper. The FX3 image appears more softer, and this shot it seems focus may not have landed perfectly on the subject. As a result, I'm not seeing as much apparent detail from the FX3 here. The Vivo on the other hand delivers a sharper and punchier image straight out of the camera even at f2.0. It looks more detailed at first glance, likely due to the additional sharpening and computational processing. So while the FX3 maintains a much more natural image, in my opinion, the Vivo definitely stands out in terms of immediate sharpness and visual impact. Let's move on to the next shot. Alright, now comparing the FX3 at 50mm while the Vivo at 48, both shots looks very impressive, but they achieve the results in a different way. The most noticeable difference is the background blur. The FX3 full frame sensor is roughly 7 times larger than the Vivo, so it naturally creates more depth and more organic bokeh effect without relying on software or post processing. When it comes to colors and exposure, the Vivo immediately looks more polished. The skin tones are brighter, the dynamic range appears stronger, and the overall image is more social media ready. That's because the Vivo is applying HDR, the image stacking, and computational photography in real time. The FX3 on the other hand is like capturing a more neutral image that is intended to be adjusted later in post production. And if we zoom in, both cameras are delivering excellent detail. The FX3 retains a more natural texture, while the Vivo appears slightly sharper and more detailed at first glance. Much of that extra sharpness comes from Vivo's processing and enhancement algorithm. So once again, it comes down to personal preference. The Vivo gives a finished looking image straight off the camera, while the FX3 gives you a more flexible file. So yeah, alright, for this flower shot I have once again used refined mode on the Vivo, and the differences are quite interesting. Even though both cameras are shooting at similar apertures, the FX3 produces noticeably more natural background blur. That's largely because of its full frame sensor, which is significantly larger and create optical depth without relying on software processing. The FX3 image also has a more cinematic feel. The subject separation looks natural, the background transition is smoother, and the overall image feels more three-dimensional. On the Vivo, the image is definitely sharper and more vibrant straight off the camera. If you zoom in, the details pop out more aggressively, but some of that comes from additional sharpening and image processing. When it comes to colors, I find the FX3 to be more accurate and true to life, while the Vivo leans towards a brighter and slightly more saturated look. Neither approach is, I would say, necessarily wrong or right. It really depends on personal preference. If you want a polished image that's ready to share, the Vivo does a fantastic job. So yeah, let's check out next shot. Alright, so now we are looking at the 35mm portrait, and both shots were taken at f2.8. What really stand out here is how well the Vivo is able to replicate that background blur of the Sony FX3. Smartphone portraits mode have come a long way, and at this shot the bokeh and subject separation looks surprisingly close to a full frame camera. However, once you zoom in, the differences become more noticeable. The Vivo image looks more sharper and more detailed straight off the camera thanks to its HDR processing, AI sharpening, and computational photography. The FX3 on the other hand produces a softer and more natural image with less processing applied. I also prefer the color rendering on the FX3. It looks more true to life and gives me much more flexibility for editing and color grading later. The Vivo definitely has the advantage that it's instantly ready for social media, while the FX3 gives creators a cleaner starting point for professional post production. So yeah, once again, it really comes down to whether you prefer convenience or creative control. Now this is just a simple point and shoot shot taken in the garden, and it perfectly highlights one of the biggest advantages of modern smartphone cameras. The Vivo, you don't really have to think about ISO, exposure, compensation, HDR, or any of the technical aspects. You just simply point and shoot and let the phone do all the work. If you look at the image, the Vivo is able to retain the detail in both the clouds and the garden at the same time. The sky has visible texture and the highlights are under control, and the shadows are nicely lifted. That's the power of computational photography. The FX3 on the other hand, it's much more manual. In this shot you have to some of the cloud details are blown out because the camera was exposing more of the foreground. To get a similar result from the FX3, you need to carefully adjust your exposure, ISO, and all those things. So while the FX3 offers more control and flexibility, the Vivo makes it incredibly easy to get a great looking image instantly without almost no efforts. Alright, so this shot was taken at night with both cameras set to f2.2 and 14mm. The differences are quite noticeable. The scene was actually very dark with just a single light source above the subject. So this is a good test of how both cameras handle low light condition. Right away you can see that the Vivo is producing a brighter and cleaner image. Like it adds a cooler blue tone to the sky, although you can adjust or disable that look if you prefer a more neutral result. What stand out most to me is the amount of detail of the Vivo is able to produce, thanks to HDR, image stacking, noise reduction. The FX3 on the other hand shows noticeably more visible noise. It's preserving a more natural and less processed image. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean the footage or the photo will benefit from some editing. So another area where Vivo impresses me is the ultra-wide camera. Smartphone ultra-wide have traditionally been much weaker than their main cameras, but here is the quality, it's genuinely impressive. The detail, dynamic range, and overall thing that's coming from a smartphone is just unbelievable. So in this particular low light scenario, the Vivo is doing a fantastic job. Obviously the Vivo is using the best ultra wide on any smartphone right now, so that's because of that's the beauty of it, right? So yeah, let's check out next shot. All right, here's another 14 mm portrait shot taken in portrait mode with both cameras set at 2.2 aperture, and I have to say the Vivo is doing an amazing job here. Ultra wide portrait photography has always been challenging for smartphones, especially at low light, but Vivo has done a fantastic job. The image looks more dramatic and the subject separation is convincing, and the overall scene has a very cinematic feel. Ultra wide camera is able to retain at night the details and everything. It's very quite surprising. If we zoom in, the image remains sharp and clean with very little visible noise. Considering the lighting condition, the real highlight strength of the Vivo is its ultra wide camera. It's not only producing a usable ultra wide portrait at night, but it's also delivering a polished image that's ready to share at social media. So that's the great thing. So yeah, let's check out next shot. All right, now we are looking at 35mm portrait comparison in very low light, and honestly this is where the Vivo really impresses me. The main sensor is doing an incredible job. If you zoom in, you can see just how much detail it's able to retain, and despite like challenging lighting condition, the image looks clean, sharp and well exposed, which is quite remarkable for a smartphone. The FX3 also produces a beautiful image, but you can definitely notice more visible noise and grains, especially when compared with Vivo side by side. That because obviously FX3 isn't applying same level of noise reduction, and it's preserving a much more natural image, which gives you greater flexibility during editing, but it doesn't always look as polished at state of the camera. I can see a bit of AI noise reduction happening on the Vivo, but it's being applied quite well in my opinion. So let me know which one you prefer here. Let's check out next shot. Now we are looking at a close-up portrait, the 50mm. The Vivo is doing an incredible job. If you zoom in into the eyes, eyebrows and eyelashes, the amount of detail being captured in night is just incredible. The Vivo is able to retain fine facial details. The FX3 on the other hand shows more visible grain and noise, which is expected since it's preserving a more natural image. The Vivo is clearly using its advanced computational photography, so that's why it's like that. And what impresses me most is the edge detection. Even at night, the subject separation looks excellent, and it can literally make out small hair strands around the face, which is something smartphone portrait modes often struggle with. So yeah, for this particular comparison, I personally prefer the Vivo. The detail, subject separation, everything looks great, and the colors are also on point. So yeah, this is where the Vivo really starts to impress. Straight off the camera, the image looks brighter, cleaner and much more polished. The HDR processing is working incredibly well here. If you look at the sky, the Vivo is able to retain cloud details while the FX3 blows out some of those highlights. That's because the Vivo is constantly using computational photography, HDR and image stacking to create the best possible image instantly. If you zoom in, the Vivo also looks sharper and cleaner with the less visible noise. The FX3 shows a bit more grain, but that's because it's preserving a more natural image with minimal processing. The background blur still looks fantastic on both of them, but for a straight off the camera still that you can instantly upload, the Vivo is doing an outstanding job here. Once again, we are looking at 85mm portrait comparison with both shots taken at f2.0. This is one of those situations where the Vivo really stands out. The background bokeh looks beautiful, the colored lights in the background are rendered very nicely, and the overall image feels ready for social media straight out of the camera. If we zoom in, the Vivo also appears cleaner and sharper. That's because it's using its noise reduction, HDR and AI processing to enhance that image. The FX3 on the other hand is capturing much more natural and processed file, which you can you see more visible noise here and grain. In this particular comparison, I actually prefer the Vivo result. The image looks much more cleaner, more vibrant and polished without any editing. The FX3 still gives you more flexibility for post-production. So yeah, let's check out next shot. We are looking at an 85mm portrait, and we are seeing a very similar trend. The Vivo produces a cleaner and sharper image straight off the camera. The FX3 shows visible noise, especially on the face here and in the darker areas. That's because the FX3 isn't applying any aggressive noise reduction. If we zoom in, you can clearly see that the Vivo processing is the image is quite heavily processed. The texture looks very sharp. The skin appears clear and overall image feels more polished. That's obviously the result of the processing and everything. And I like the dramatic effect of the Vivo here. The light here on the object here looks very dramatic and looks very good. What's impressive is how Vivo is able to replicate that f2.0 background blur. The bokeh looks very similar. You can look at the lights here of the Vivo and the FX3. They look very similar. So Vivo will probably look more appealing for social media. So yeah, let me know which one you prefer. Let's check out next shot. This is probably my favorite shot from the entire comparison. It really shows how good the Vivo 85mm portrait camera is. Both shots were taken at f2.8, but the Vivo manages to create a beautiful cinematic image with excellent background blur and very pleasing colors. The overall looks feel more polished, dramatic, and honestly ready to post straight off the camera. If you zoom in, you can see that the Vivo is retaining a lot of detail on the face while also keeping the image clean. This is definitely some processing and noise reduction happening behind the scene, but the final result looks fantastic. The colors are vibrant and without being, overly aggressive. The FX3 on the other hand gives a more natural representation of the scene, but in this particular low light, there's noticeable more visible noise on the face. One interesting thing I notice is the Vivo appears to apply a slight slimming effect on the face and the body, where FX3 looks, more true to life and realistic. So for this specific comparison, I personally prefer the Vivo, and obviously I think all of you guys will also prefer Vivo shot here. Let me know which shot you prefer. So yeah.
This is one of the few situations where the difference between a smartphone and a professional camera becomes very obvious. For this comparison, I used a 85mm lens on the FX3 and compare it with the Vivo portrait video mode. While the Vivo does a great job, the FX3 immediately stands out with its more natural depth, smoother background blur, and overall cinematic look. The colors from the FX3 also feels more realistic and balanced. The footage is a softer, more organic rendering that gives it that professional camera vibe. The Vivo on the other hand is doing a lot more processing. It's using HDR to retain shadow details, recover highlights, and make the image look more impressive straight off the camera. That's great for convenience, but when it comes to video, especially portrait video, the FX3 has still a clear advantage. The background separation is natural, the motion looks more cinematic, and the footage gives you much more flexibility for color grading and post-production. Smartphones have come incredibly far, but in my opinion, this is one area where professional camera still maintains a noticeable lead. And one thing we also can't ignore is the film effect on Vivo. With just a single tap, you can apply a built-in film style filter that gives your footage a very cinematic, anamorphic style look with glow, color grading, and that 24 FPS like, film-like filter straight out of the camera. So can a smartphone beat a professional full-frame camera? Let me know what you think, but in my opinion, smartphones have come a very long way, but they still haven't fully replaced full-frame cameras. The main reason is sensor size. Even though a camera like FX3 uses a 12 megapixel sensor, that sensor is around 7 times larger than what you find in a smartphone. That's give it some major advantage in terms of, dynamic range, depth, and overall image quality. Smartphone on the other hand are built for convenience and a wider audience. That's why they rely heavily on computational photography, multi-frame HDR, AI processing, and noise reduction to deliver the final image instantly. So a professional camera gives you something different, like a more raw image and a full creative control. It takes skill to use properly, but it gives you much more freedom in post-production. So if you want instant results, a smartphone it's unbeatable. But if you want full control and a more cinematic professional workflow, a full-frame camera will still win in my opinion. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.